Hello, and welcome back once again to the greatest podcast ever in the world. Not so subtle. I'm Jordan Miller. Tonight, I'm joined by my good friends as usual, Colter Potter.
Thank you. I'm Colter Potter.
And Dane LaPointe.
That's me. I am Dane LaPointe.
How you guys feeling tonight? Are we ready for this?
Pretty good.
I think so.
You left out Kermie. He's our...
Yeah, I feel like he might be a little offended.
And don't let me forget my best friend, Kermit the Frog.
It's not easy being green. It's even harder when you don't even acknowledge his existence.
Yeah.
We're here talking about the stuff we usually do. We got some movies on the docket here. We got some video games. We have some misadventures, if you will, that we'll get into.
Putting it lightly.
You're going to want to stick around for a story. We got a story time.
We definitely have a story time.
This is a breaking news story that happened not 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Well said. I'll say that.
But what do we want to start out with first? We're kind of talking about some music, maybe. Just jump right in with video games. Not just meant for playing. They're always accompanied. Most of them, at least the good ones, are accompanied by a good score, good soundtrack.
Right.
Are there any that you guys think back fondly of, or kind of have it in your head as like, oh, this is definitely my go-to best game soundtrack song of all time?
I think there could be a few different answers. There could be like
but what's your answer?
Well, that's the thing. It depends on what we're talking about. There's like the catchy like jingles, that are from like, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Mario, stuff like that.
If I had a gun to your head, what's your favorite soundtrack?
My favorite soundtrack for a game? Man. I think it's... The easy answer would probably be Kingdom Hearts.
Alright.
Because it's just so good. But Last of Us is a really good one.
It's a good one. It's subtle.
It's subtle, but...
Understated, maybe, is a better way to put it.
Yeah, but I have it on Spotify, and I've listened to it just through, and it's actually just really well done. Like, there's really unique music, so Last of Us is good. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the music in that game. It's just kind of there.
Yeah.
But it needs more love, because it's quite good. I think people don't talk about it because there's nothing wrong with it. It just, like, complements everything so well that it's kind of just, like, good music kind of just fades into the back, and like it helps everything, but you don't really you don't think like, oh, this song is so good.
Yeah, in that
like,
game, it's never brought up like front and center. Like, it's never like stop and then a cutscene's playing out with just a really epic song in the background. It's just like you're playing the scene and there's like a score going on.
Yeah,
that's happening, but it's not the point of the.
Yeah, and like there's also, I would say, Last of Us, and I still don't know if that's my favorite, but that's the first thing that popped in my head from recent games at least. But there's a lot of good moments where the lack of music is important too, where like between seasons or like after big events it'll cut to a black screen and it'll just be completely silent, and you'll be kind of like left to just like dwell on whatever happened, and then it'll cut back in with either, again, no music and like ambient noise, or it'll cut right into a song, which makes it even more noticeable, I think. So the lack of music is important sometimes too.
I agree.
Yeah, I never finished that game, so I wouldn't know.
You deleted it off your hard drive prior to deleting Star Wars Battlefront,
at one
which
point
we talk about to this day.
Time, I had to make room on my PS4 hard drive, and I decided at that point that it was more important to keep Star Wars Battlefront on my hard drive, the new Star Wars Battlefront, than to keep Last of Us on there.
It's
the greatest betrayal of
I'm still very upset
history.
by that. It makes me like agitated to hear that.
It is upsetting, for sure.
It's bad.
I had to let you guys know because I knew that you'd be upset.
It caused it put a rift
It's
in the relationship for a few days now.
It's never been the same after I knew that. But.
Right.
Yeah. I will say that I did delete Battlefront not that long after that, so I made, I made up for it.
No, you didn't.
But then did you reinstall
help.
Last of Us afterwards?
No, because I needed.
Okay.
I wasn't
Let's
playing
just
either.
So stop here.
No,
I'm
it's
gonna
over.
Get upset. I'm gonna get upset.
I'm getting triggered.
Yeah, but if I would probably have to say Kingdom Hearts off the top of my head because it's the most like memorable and like I definitely go back to it and like listen to it by itself. And I definitely think that I enjoy the most the scores that do kind of make themselves obvious.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. That's what I kind of look for more, because like you can have an orchestra like do like nice little tones over anything, but if you have like a good melody and like a good actual song to it, then there's something.
It definitely
there.
adds to like good music in like in a movie or in a video game or in any scene. Like if it is done well and plays like the right kind of tone, it really helps to like evoke like a feeling that the game or whatever the medium is trying to do, I think.
Yeah.
I think there's a special place for music that kind of flows along with the story in a more subtle way, but in my opinion, what I enjoy the most is the ones that are overt.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's room for both. I like both too, but I guess the first thing, like I said, the first thing that came to mind was Last of Us. I just thought of another one, Final Fantasy X.
It's good.
I think it came out in like 2001.
1.
Yeah, was it 2001 or 2000?
2001, 2002.
Something like that. So I didn't play it right when it came out, but I still played it when I was young, like probably like 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
Must have been. Or maybe like 10, whatever. I was in elementary school. And so like when you're playing games back then, you don't really think of, like, you hear the music obviously, but you don't think like, oh, this is really well like produced music. Like this is like a good symphonic suite, you know, like this is good. But I think that was the first game where I really thought of that, because I bought the CD from Barnes & Noble.
Jesus.
Yeah, because it was so good. There's a couple songs on that album that are so good. It's like 3 discs. Like there's like easily 60 plus songs on that soundtrack. It's a big soundtrack.
I definitely remember like not going like, oh, I like this is like really great music that fits well to like whatever the scene is happening.
Yeah.
But I remember those songs like to this day. Like they're just super memorable, and listening to like the battle theme like
The battle theme
hundreds of
is
thousands of times.
Yeah.
Just listen to it over and over again. Like it's just burned into my skull.
That helps, but there's also even the ones that you don't hear that often, like the Thunder Plains and like Besaid and like Seymour's theme. Okay,
if
you
you've
know
done
the
the shit
Thunder
I've done
Plains.
in Thunder Plains.
Dodging the lightning.
There's a
That's
not
the one
even
where
an
it's
achievement, but like there's a
No, it is. It is a trophy.
Well, it is a trophy, but it's for getting like these special weapons in the game, and you have to like do this really dumb like mini game. It's not even a mini game because it's not like a game. But when you're going through this area, like randomly lightning will strike, and if you tap the X button at the right time, you'll dodge it to get like this item or weapon or whatever. You had to do that like 200 times in a row. It honestly took me in a row without missing once. You can't, if you fail, you have to restart.
That's insane.
It was the most absurd thing that I've done, and I regret it to this day because it took me hours upon hours, but eventually.
But the music is so fire. And that's one where it's like dun dun dun.
And eventually,
so that made it bearable.
It made it bearable, but also probably ruined that song for me, because if I heard it, I might get like
PTSD.
Man, there's so many good songs. The Blitzball theme.
Yeah.
Like the opening like twist on the prologue and fugue. Mm-hmm. Like the classic Final Fantasy like piano tune. Like they do a cool like synth remake of it. So cool.
Final Fantasy games.
The soundtrack is mwah.
Definitely top tier music in Final Fantasy from beginning to end.
So good.
We have a common thread here that Kingdom Hearts and the Final Fantasy is connected.
It's true.
Different composers.
Mm-hmm.
The Yoko Kanno did, or not Yoko Kanno, Yoko Shimomura did Kingdom Hearts 1, and Yoko Ono did it.
I was surprised that you chose to pronounce it correctly.
Yeah, I shouldn't have.
Just to be clear.
I should have made a bit. No, it was, she did Kingdom Hearts, and she recently did Final Fantasy 15.
Mm-hmm.
I think she did it.
Oh, great, the worst one.
Yeah, the music was good, though.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, it like went into... I like heard that battle theme way too often. I was like, all right, this is getting annoying by now. But
yeah.
I feel like I didn't spend enough time on Kingdom Hearts. Now, in the beginning of the game, there's a cutscene that is incredibly crisp.
Oh, yeah.
In every Kingdom Hearts game.
Yeah.
And it includes a cutscene that is set to Utada Hikaru, which is a Japanese J-pop star, probably.
She's a massive J-pop star. Yeah.
Yeah, and she did a couple different songs, like for Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and she nails it.
Simple and clean.
Simple and clean.
Sanctuary.
No, but yeah, it's like a hot pop song set to like a crisp ass cutscene.
Yeah.
And that just sets the tone for the entire game.
That's really like I can't remember.
Dude.
It must have been for Kingdom Hearts 2 probably, but I definitely watched like the trailers for that like just so many times. Like listen to the song over and over again because I just played in the trailer. I was like, this song is
to
just
this
done
day,
to me.
like
kind of a
when you
joke
were
now, but-
when you were kind of, but
little
like
bit.
when you were younger and you watched those, you were like, this is so good. Like
Yeah.
it, nothing else was on that level. Final Fantasy in general, and like mostly Japanese games, like even back in the day,
Yeah, I was gonna say this is only
Always-
something you'd get in a Japanese game.
always like the production values are just off the charts. Like
And then
I'm just thinking about those cutscenes right now. Can we watch the cutscene right now?
and then
No.
also in like every what do you call it, world in Kingdom Hearts, there's different themes that like are just so good that
Oh yeah.
you can like sing because they're like beat into your memory, but they're like you're also not mad about it, like,
Do any of those so Kingdom Hearts is
and they're all like Disney worlds.
yeah, they're like
so it
crossover
kinda
with Disney stuff. Do any of those songs like take anything from
correspond to like
the
actual songs
yeah, like the
from
songs
movies.
from the Disney at all?
Yeah, they
Somewhere
definitely do. Like
At
the
least
Agrabah,
the-
the Agrabah one has
Does it?
like, well, it's not necessarily
It's
like,
like a
a
Middle
direct
Eastern.
theme, but it's like a Arabic or like Middle Eastern
Yeah.
theme that like, the Halloween Town one
That's
definitely
that's,
goes
this is
dun,
Halloween.
dun, dun, dun.
And then the Atlantica one does this, or like Under the Sea.
Yeah.
We don't
And
need to
the
talk about
classic.
that.
The other
Oh,
cool
you don't
thing,
like that?
The other cool thing about Kingdom Hearts is that I mean we
'cause
could
Atlantica.
we could play through them again and see, but I'm pretty sure that the like world music and the combat music are designed to flow in and out of each other.
Mm.
So like in Halloween Town, it'll do like the Halloween Town theme, and then like if you get into a battle, it'll like escalate a little bit into the combat theme, and like they'll kind of just flow in and then flow back out into the standard one. Like I don't know exactly how they do that, but
Yeah.
it
not
doesn't.
like-
it's not jarring. It's not.
It's kind of
jarring
like a
cut.
fade in.
Yeah, it's not necessarily like they designed it that at any point it'll just cut right directly
Yeah, it'll
into.
just literally flow
no.
from one song to another.
No, but they
doesn't
do it
that.
so well that like it just feels like a natural kind of
And
transition.
you're excited to hear each different theme.
Oh yeah, and they all have elements like the music all sounds like it could have probably come out of a Disney movie, but also it sounds like you're like hype up jam to fight in like Final Fantasy or something.
And then even like the scary like situations, like the darker parts of the game are also cool because they're just like so aggressive and like
Oh yeah, the music
like, scary
complements
and
it
stuff.
so well.
Pretty much every scary part in that game, it just goes dun 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 dun.
And
no. And you're like actually scared. You're like holding your controller. You're like
yeah, and you're like 5 playing the game.
5.
Well,
I knew Jordan would take offense when I was like, "You're scared."
I
was never scared.
I didn't feel any fear.
Kingdom Hearts is a Disney game. There's no fear to be found there.
Yeah, no. What was yours, Jordan? What is your favorite?
So I'm not gonna say Kingdom Hearts. I like Kingdom Hearts a lot, but I wouldn't put it up there as my favorite. I would definitely.
I would be annoyed if you did say Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I would probably include a Final Fantasy game. I like Final Fantasy 14 a lot. Has a fantastic soundtrack. And also there's tons and tons of songs in there. Like what I recently learned is so you can like ride like a mount in that game, and one of them is like Chocobo, a little bird guy. The music changes when you ride that one. Also, I unlocked another mount, which is like a little flying eye dude. The music changes when you ride that one. It's not the same as the Chocobo one. Like there's everything you do. Like there's a different song accompanying it. So I really like that. But honestly, a couple. I think these games might have been. I played them last year or the year before, but Furi. Which came out last year. I like so a lot of game soundtracks I listen to. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like really good. But like the Fury soundtrack, I listen to like I just straight up listen to those songs because they're just great like synth electronic songs, and they're
Colter, you
really
would like
awesome
those
to listen.
songs.
They're fantastic. Also, they're set up in the so like the way that game is set up is that there's just a bunch of like series of boss fights, and you don't do anything between the boss fights except for just basically walk forward, and you can just like press X and the game will walk for you. And the soundtrack like plays perfectly along with where you're walking and like builds like to a crescendo when you like meet the boss, and it's like the game is scored exactly to your fights, and it's really well done.
What type of game is that?
It's kind of a bullet hell like rhythm game, honestly. It's a really fun. It's not a rhythm game like you'd think, but like you have to like dodge attacks and do stuff. But you hear like audio cues when you're supposed to dodge and attack and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I think it's rhythm.
Kind of like Thumper, maybe. but
not nearly
not
as much
as
of a rhythm
simple.
game as Thumper. It's
Yeah.
it's like an action. It's a fight. It's a boss
okay.
like rush game. You're fighting a bunch of bosses, bullet hell, like stuff is flying at you.
It's like an isometric view looking
Yeah,
down.
it's I've one of my favorite games from last year for sure. I probably liked it a lot more than most
check it
people. Also, Undertale, another one that just has absolutely like that. If you talk to people, I imagine 80% of them will say like one of their favorite parts of that game is the soundtrack. It's just a bunch of great like chiptune songs that fit the mood perfectly. My favorite song is Megalovania, which is just a fantastic sick jam. But yeah.
As we were talking, I just thought of a few other ones. All of the Elder Scrolls games. So
Yeah.
Oblivion, which I still have a playlist of to this day on my YouTube that I listen to because it's very calming music. Skyrim has some amazing... I mean, it's kind of a cliche to say that, but like the music in Skyrim is so good. So well done. Fallout, I really like the mix. The ambient score in Fallout 3 and even 4 is pretty good because it's done by Junkie XL. Did like Batman vs. Superman, which is nah, but he also did Mad Max, which is nah, quite good.
If you put those two on the scale, it's in perfect balance,
Right.
there of not
No,
good
like
nor
the
bad.
Mad Max music is quite good. But then also the other one that I thought of, mostly because of Colter's shirt, is Hotline Miami. Very good soundtrack. Again, with Undertale, I feel like if you've played Hotline Miami, like probably 80-90% of the people, maybe everyone who's played that game will agree that the music is awesome. It's like a bumpin', like there's some really weird like 80s like synthwave kind of stuff in there, but then there's also a lot of techno like hard hitting beats. And it gets you into like the gameplay also, just how it's a trial and error, like really quick get in get out, like brutally quick game. Like as you're listening to that music, it gets drilled into your head because you're doing those levels so many times, but then also like you get in this weird trance when you're playing that game, when it's just like, okay, I gotta like throw my gun through this window, jump in, like choke this guy out, blah blah, and you're doing this, and as you're playing it, you like get like hypnotized or something. It's really weird to explain, but like the music fits it so perfectly.
Yeah, that's an example of a game where the music actually kind of is
It's like the driving
big
force.
part of, yeah, it's a driving force, and you're meant to take like interest and like notice the music. It's kind of like a club every time you like go in, because there's like music playing.
Yeah.
It's kind of almost as if it's part of the scene.
Yeah.
You're like imagining the guy actually like killing people to music and stuff. But it's done really, really well.
It's so well done. It's like super brutal and violent. Like that game's definitely not for everyone, but it definitely not.
But it's right up your alley.
It is because it's so it's so tightly designed. Like especially I have the soundtrack on my phone. Like the music is so good.
I feel like we've seen a resurgence of synthwave techno in
Yeah.
a bunch of like smaller indie games use that almost exclusively now, which may be for better or for worse. I feel like at a certain point it's gonna lose its charm, but
Yeah.
as of right now, I enjoy a ton of like smaller game soundtracks because they're usually like pretty cool electronic stuff.
Now, what about games that have not necessarily original scores, but cool licensed music? Like the Tony Hawk games. The Tony Hawk games were pretty awesome. They had some great, like as you're skating, collecting tapes and getting those letters. Man, I used to play those games all the time with my neighbor. So many of those songs are burned into my
Listen
head.
to a lot of Blitzkrieg Bob.
A lot of Blitzkrieg Bop. A lot of the one where he's like, the devil has his tricks.
I didn't have like any of the the oldest ones. I had Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, and the intro to that game is the song TNT by AC/DC, and that definitely like spurned a love of like rock music, and like I was really young, so that was like some of the baseline of like what my musical interests were at that time.
So you're saying Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 shaped you as a person?
Kind of, which is weird. I've never thought of that. I just thought of that now.
But honestly, those games were like, those were some of the biggest games out.
It is.
Like when
that's
we
true.
were,
Those games were crazy
like
popular.
they were incredibly popular. Yeah, that was like on another level for when we were younger. That's like on the level of like Call of Duty today.
Yeah.
Some people talk about like how Skate is like really, really good of a game.
That's
I
a
never
cool
played
game.
that, but like how is that different than Tony Hawk? Like, do you guys know?
Because-
I never played Skate, so I'm not one to
So
talk about it.
with Tony Hawk, you would do a lot of button combinations. So it's sort of like akin to a fighting game when you would memorize like, oh, like jump, like triangle and R1 or whatever will do like this different slide, or like
Yeah.
if I move the joystick to this side, it'll do that. But with
A fake
skate,
Omega.
yeah,
Blastertron
something crazy where you're like,
30,000.
I can flip this stair with like a brutal like front flip alley oop, like holding my board in the air. Like,
720
crazy.
goofy ollie is.
Yeah, right, yeah. But then with skate, each joystick is one of your feet. So as you press like, I think you press like A or X or whatever to like push and to move, and then you can use the triggers to modify, like either use your hand on the board or like to like move it a certain direction or something. But then to do like a ollie or whatever, like you flip both of your sticks up, like as if you're doing the actual ollie. Like you go down and then up to do like your feet flipping the board. And then when you're in the air, you can also do like different movements to like, so if you want to do a kickflip, you would like move your foot to the right to move your board to the right, and then make your feet land on the board and stuff.
It's more precise.
It's like a simulator.
Yeah,
It's like the Gran Turismo of like skating
Also,
games,
you could
kinda.
break a lot of bones in that game, and
Yeah.
that was a key
That's
factor.
like more realistic.
Dude, remember when we used to play Tony Hawk's Project 8 and like fling our bodies off stuff? They had a mode where you could like
Bail out.
yeah, it was called like insurance fraud or something like that, where you had to like bail out and you would get like money based on how many bones you broke, and you would have to get like high scores. And we used to just like, because it was so absurd, like you just fling your
jump
body
in the air and just fly.
Yeah, and the
ragdoll.
physics were so over the top that one, it was really funny because like we used to play ski stunt simulator.
Ah, yes.
Ski stunt simulator.
Ski stunt simulator. We used to play that in a yearbook all the time.
We got nothing done in that class.
No one got anything.
I'm pretty
done
sure
with that.
Flash games is like a discussion for another time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be an
That's a
entire
real
episode.
topic.
Yeah,
Let's
like
bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
But Tony Hawk's Project 8, like I remember, because that game wasn't very popular, I don't
Write
think.
that down.
But I remember hearing
No, it was
a lot of pretty decent. I have some of the songs in my Spotify from that game, and it's probably only because I listened to them so much when we were throwing our bodies off like buildings and stuff. But funny stuff.
I actually remember I think it was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, maybe. It was the one that had like Boba Fett as one of the unlockable characters. And
Legendary.
you could do like this like cheat move where you could like boost with your jetpack, and it would keep you up in the air and like let you like keep doing moves. And so I just did that over and over again, kept doing moves, and like had like a ridiculous like combo until eventually I just like had gotten like so high in the air with the boost that the game just broke. And I was like, oh, well,
Really?
yeah. I lost my combo, but it was
That's
worth
awesome.
it in the
Lost
end.
my combo. Wow, that's nice.
That's good stuff.
So yeah, video game music, it's great.
It's pretty good.
I'm sure there's stuff that I missed out on.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't mention Persona. Those games are
Oh,
have a
yeah.
fantastic soundtrack.
Castlevania.
Castlevania. A lot of Japanese games have excellent scores.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say a lot of Western games don't, but it just so happens that Japanese games tend to be very
Doom.
stylish.
We didn't mention
Oh,
Doom.
yeah.
dude.
That's like
See,
an
that's
aggressive ass soundtrack.
And that's another
It's
one
also
that,
a
like,
driving
fan of
force.
aggressive
that like
ass
plays
soundtracks,
with like when you reload your gun, like they play like a sound to like
Like a
in the
dun-dun.
song. Like when you're moving and shooting, the soundtrack like plays with you, and it's really smart.
Beautiful game. Play Doom.
It's a
Yeah,
great,
if you haven't
fantastic
played
game.
Doom, stop what you're doing. It's probably not on sale anymore because the Steam sale just ended. But if you didn't buy it when
pretty
it was on
cheap.
sale, it was
Guarantee
like
you,
$20.
it's like $30.
Yeah.
That game.
Please
is-
play that game.
That game away now. Yeah.
I'll say it right now. It's my game of the year.
It's a solid game.
Amazing game.
Well,
All right.
let's move on to the breaking news,
Oh my god.
which I think.
Is an apt name.
How do we want to start this, Colter?
I
Do you
tell
just
the
want to
story?
just do it?
Colter, tell the
I'll-
story.
I'll go right ahead. So, it's getting warmer outside. We've already talked about bugs and how they're invading our homes, and we don't like it.
Shit.
So there's
Frog
a
'em.
specific type of bug that has been invading my home a couple times recently, which is me and my brother like to call them behemoths because they're just the
Not bad.
largest moths on Earth, and like
good.
they're not the largest moth on Earth, I'll say that, but
they're
are
large.
very big, and you're not trying to have them touch you.
We're on the lookout for them right now. We're getting a little tense just talking about it.
I didn't kill it, so it could be around here anywhere, and we'd probably have to stop the podcast if that did happen. But so I see
we
one of
will.
them flying around. We finished the movie, and the moth wasn't around because there was no light anywhere, I guess. And when you
Or at
turn
least
on
we
the
didn't
lights,
see it.
yeah, we didn't see it anywhere. So I'm walking around after we finished the movie, getting ready to start the podcast. And I see the moth flying around. I'm like, oh no, dude, this is gonna suck because like
We have to take care of
we're
it.
gonna have to take care of it. We can't just have it flying around the whole time. And so I get the fly swatter because I'm like, maybe I can swat it out of the air. Like, this
Like
is going to suck really bad.
I love
but-
how you were already about to go get a soda, and then you're like, oh, I better fetch a weapon.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know if that fly swatter would have killed the moth.
I know,
It
dude,
was
that
the
sucks.
moth
I would've
probably would have
just-
just pushed it away
Yeah.
and said no.
It would have grabbed the fly swatter and flown away with it, and you would have
Not
been like,
today,
no,
Colter.
come back.
It like grabs it. I'm like trying to move it around. I'm
Yeah.
Like, no!
You're just getting
Yeah,
dragged
and
by
it-
it. Just
Yeah,
help.
it takes me.
It's like a quick time event.
God. No.
It takes you, Colter. You're
It's
about to be
so-
taken.
Yeah. Dude, that moth was Brian Mills. From Taken.
The first one.
Yeah, so
With subtitles.
I have the fly swatter. I see it flying
English.
around, and if you're watching the video podcast, you can see these light fixtures up here. And you may, I don't know if you can see this one right above us, but this is an intact one. That one over there, you'll notice that there's no glass bulb around the light.
And why is that?
Couldn't
what
tell you why
happened?
that is.
That's weird.
Doesn't
so
have anything to do with the behemoth.
The behemoth was like flying around right by that light over there. And I was like, okay, it stopped on that light. This is my chance. It's gonna like take off any second now. I need to like do what needs to be done. And so I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take a swing.
And
I
you
did. And I took the swing and it shattered. The glass bulb completely shattered, flew everywhere.
Glass
And
everywhere.
It was very loud. Dane was freaking out. And I look over and Dane happens to be filming the whole thing. So I'm going to put in a video right now.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
And so that was really bad. So yeah, it breaks, and
My
I
God.
noticed that Dane is filming, and it's a nightmare sitch because I'm like, oh no, I'm about to be mean.
About to be.
So I was like sitting back. People watching can't see this, but there's a table behind the camera, and I was sitting back there messing around with my computer, looking at Colter doing his little
I'm doing a
his
dance
thing
because I'm
over there.
scared.
You're trying to fight it. I was like, okay, well,
It was
Colter will
winning.
probably get it. And then I see the moth go up to the lamp or the light, and I see Colter like
Get ready.
cock back.
Like you're,
and get ready to
you're like
swing.
recoiling.
And in my head, I was like, no.
There's
can't-
only
this is-
one way this can end.
Is there a chance it's gonna break? And like as that thought was happening, Colter just swings, and I just see it just shatter in front of me. I was like, oh no.
I was blinded by opportunity. You need to strike when you have the chance.
It's true.
honestly,
So
I understand why you would go for it, because that fly swatter does not seem like something that would break anything.
yeah, that's
really.
what I was gonna say. Is that it was floppy as
was-
hell.
yeah,
It's like,
like-
it's on a thin ass like wire stick. How does that break
But it
a glass?
just
like a
brutalized.
thick
It just
glass
shattered
thing?
the
It
entire
brutalized
thing.
that thing.
So it broke it. Me and Dane were just sitting there laughing. Dane was filming for like 3 minutes, laughing the entire
just
time.
laughing, yeah.
It was
really
It was
funny.
comical, but
Yeah.
also
No, but I was laughing for a couple reasons. One, like I grabbed my phone and what I was thinking of honestly in my head was I grabbed my phone to record, and I was gonna post it as like I was gonna post it on
Just a
Instagram
duel.
for the not so subtle, be like, yeah, like Colter versus the Moth, like we're about to start our podcast, but
We
like
win.
before that, important stuff we gotta take care of, kill this moth. And then as soon as I start recording, like I started recording, I want to say like at least 2 to 3 seconds before I
shatter-
don't know,
the
before
shatter.
before the
Hit
event.
the button like a
Right.
fair amount before the event occurred.
Oh yeah, I'm positive that I did
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't even like to where I was when I started filming. Hit record and I started walking towards there, and like I guess what I captured on video was the exact moment, like literally like a couple milliseconds after you hit the glass. You can see
Yeah.
the glass fall,
Mm-hmm.
and you can hear like the shatter of like all the stuff falling, and then you just hear me go, "Holy shit!" like right away.
Holy shit!
Oh shit! Like.
and then you also see Colter turn and like run like
Like,
away
Col-
from
yeah.
the
So the-
disaster.
You
area.
definitely turn around and you're like, oh, this is fucked. And then you just
I
run
need
into
to
your
like run
your
a little
room.
bit away because there's like a blast zone, and I honestly
Yeah,
did
it's
that
a
without
blast
even-
zone.
I didn't even think about like how the glass was gonna fall. I was just like running.
There-
honestly,
there-
from the bug, I
yeah.
was more scared of the bug than the glass.
There was a lot of glass like in the zone.
was a lot of
afterwards.
glass.
There was a
So-
lot of glass and it fell on the staircase too.
Yeah, it fell all down the stairs, all through the carpet, and I spent a lot of time cleaning it up. So I'm gonna say it was not worth it. Actually, you know what? It was worth it.
It was kind of funny, dude. It was super funny. It was so worth it.
Because let's be real, we're gonna have that video, and we're gonna be happy we had that.
It's
Totally
great.
worth it. Totally worth
Good
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Alright.
If I have to clean up for 20 minutes, it's fine. Whatever.
It's all right.
Whatever. Yeah.
I might have to pay for another glass thing. But
This time, get one that is shatterproof.
That is
that
fly
will stand up
swatter-proof.
to
Fly swat.
Yeah.
flimsy ass fly swat.
Just get a bulletproof one.
And
Yeah.
okay,
Kevlar.
the worst part of
This
all
time,
is that,
baby, you'll be bulletproof. Sorry.
No, please go ahead.
So the last thing I'll say is that we did not kill the bug. This is the worst part of the story, and the bug's on the loose.
Kill unconfirmed.
We did say that earlier, but that is the worst thing about this story.
But we haven't seen the moth fly
We haven't
around
seen
yet.
the moth.
though.
I'll tell you right now that in the video, you can see the moth flying around.
I saw it
after-
flying
yeah,
around.
Yeah.
Don't you worry.
Did
Yeah.
it fall to the ground? Was it dying?
No.
Or was it just?
Oh, no.
It was
I
perfectly
thought I
fine.
saw it fly up in the corner, kind of.
Oh jeez.
It's up in the very top corner, but it's definitely not there now. So I don't know. It might have fallen down. I might have wounded it.
But not
But-
killed it.
Honestly, with my track record, I probably didn't kill.
Honestly, can you imagine what would happen if you had hit that moth with the fly swatter? Because it was a behemoth.
Yeah, it was huge.
That thing would have exploded. It would have been a nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Dude,
was gonna be.
My dad. So I did call my dad up to destroy one of these the other day because we had one, and me and Chris one time my brother, we spent so much time, literally a couple hours,
Hunting it.
hunting
great
it,
moth-
trying to kill it, and it was
The great
so
moth
bad.
hunt of
So
2016.
when I saw one the other day, I was just like, all right, let's just get my dad up here, swallow my pride, and sure enough, he gets one tissue and is like, all right, here it is, and he just grabs it, he gets it inside, and I'm pretty sure he's like, I'm not even sure if it's dead, to be honest with you. I'm like, squish it, and so he I guess he squishes it or whatever. Or maybe it was already dead, but it's definitely dead when he throws it away because it doesn't fly out or anything. But yeah, my dad uses one tissue to just destroy this huge ass moth the size of a rock.
He just Mr. Miyagi's it out of the air and just.
Mr. Miyagi.
He
It
grabs
to
it out
flow
of the
like
ball.
water. That's the trick. You weren't water.
So yeah,
You were glass.
nightmare stitches happen every day.
You
That
never
was.
know.
I mean, this is second only to a quick story. I won't say any names, but years ago, when we were younglings, Colter and I were at a friend's house, and we decided to play pool, as
As you
some
do.
kids might decide to do. But we weren't playing pool with pool cues. We were just throwing. It was sort of like air hockey with pool
Sliding
balls.
the balls across the table.
Yeah, it was
with our
like
hands.
air hockey with no
Very
paddles, and you were
dangerous,
just taking
yeah.
the puck and trying to score.
Just
it.
hearing that makes me feel
I know,
physically
yeah.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I'm like, that was a.
Oh yeah,
terrible-
so it was a horrible idea. So basically, we it was my fault. I did it. I threw a ball
Own up to
real hard, really hard, and we were laughing the whole time. We were goofing around.
What could go wrong?
I feel like secretly you wanted something to happen.
I don't think. I mean, maybe, but not that.
Deep in your
It was
shadow
pretty.
self.
It was pretty wild. We were definitely getting rowdy and rambunctious, and then I throw it at just the right angle. It hits a pool ball, and then of course it flies through a window and
flies
just shatters.
up and
It
just
just
hits a
flies up
window.
and shatters through the window.
I don't think the window shattered. It just cracked.
Did it just crack really badly? I
'Cause
thought it
remember,
shattered.
one of our friends said, "Dude, you freaking cracked it."
Oh, that's true. And then at that moment, yeah. So it was but it was a pretty bad crack.
It was clear that the window had
It's
been
just
broken.
completely, yeah.
How quick did you go from fun level 11 to oh fuck? we
Oh, my
fucked up
heart
bad?
sunk
I mean,
so
immediately.
fast. Yeah, within
As soon as that happened,
in
you're
a
like,
second.
I'm gonna pay.
I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. And in that was around the time that Rock Band was coming out, and so we were all pulling together funds to get Rock Band to buy all the instruments and stuff because we were kids, right? We didn't have jobs or anything. And then as soon as that happened, within a few seconds, I'm pretty sure you said it, Colter. You're like, that's coming out of the Rock Band fund.
Yeah.
And then that became a quote.
Yeah.
That was a quote for a long time that we would say about
hilarious.
when something messed up.
But also sad.
Great. It was sad. It was. I did feel bad. I don't think I ever paid for it.
Eh.
I don't think I paid for it.
I think she might have said "Don't worry about it" or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't
That
know.
was nice of
To sneeze.
woman,
Them.
random person. All right,
Bless
thanks
you.
for that segue, Colter.
Woo!
Let's move on to our movie block, if you will.
Yes.
Before we get to our Wacky Wednesday film, Dane, did you have something that you
Oh.
watched and want to talk about?
we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but I recently watched Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them,
This is a spin-off.
It's basically
Harry
like
Potter story.
if Lord of the Rings is Harry Potter, this is To the Hobbit.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that right now.
So it's filmed at 48 frames per second.
Oh, you wish. No, it was.
It's a nerdy joke.
It was a movie for
That's a deep
sure.
cut.
It was. I found out that it was produced and written by J.K. Rowling, which
Bless you.
which is gives me a little bit of hope. She's apparently doing. They're making 5 of these. Apparently, they're gonna make 5 of
They're
these.
so ambitious.
spin-offs. It's ridiculous. Yeah. So you were blown back by that.
Because I heard this movie come out, I was like, oh, that's weird that they're even making like another, like, not Harry Potter, but anything in that like, universe sort of thing. And also, I didn't hear like fantastic things about it.
Yeah.
Hey.
Thank you.
So I'll
it's
say
weird.
I think I heard middling reviews. I heard it was like it was okay, but I didn't hear anything about it being like on the level of
it's
Harry
no
Potter.
Harry Potter movie.
No, it's definitely no Harry Potter.
Absolutely not.
I had a few issues with it. Okay, overall, I'll say
Can you
it was
just
okay.
Describe the setup for the movie. I have no idea what it is.
So
He hasn't seen it. Or Jordan hasn't seen it. I have seen it. My name is Colter. And for the audio listeners, and Dane has now seen it.
yeah, and
I saw it when it came out.
okay, yeah. So it's been a while since it came out. I feel basically. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is a book that you might remember them reading at Hogwarts. So it's like a textbook or like required reading or whatever. So this is set I think it's set in 1926. I want to say, I looked this up. I think Harry was born in like 89.
What is the movie about?
I'm getting to that. So this is well before Harry Potter.
Okay.
It's about this dude whose name is Newt Scamander, who comes to New York from, I'm assuming, London or somewhere in the UK. And he is a scholar. He's an author, and he's writing a book. He's a gentleman, and he's writing a book about Fantastic Beasts. He has
Fantastic beats and where to bus them.
and where to bust them, and where to jam out, where to spit rhymes. He comes to New York, and he has like a suitcase full of like a bunch of weird ass like creatures and stuff. And
His
of course,
specialty is
seems-
magical creatures.
right,
That
and
seems inhumane.
and of course, and also it's kind of interesting
that.
because they explore like the wizarding world of the United States and like their version of the Ministry of Magic and like elements of that, which is kind of cool. But
Is it the Department of Magic?
I
It
won't
did
say
have a different name. I can't remember.
it did, and like instead of Muggles, they're called No Mages, like No Magic, which is interesting. Like there's some cool stuff there, like some cool lore building things, like some world building stuff.
Yeah.
But basically, the setup is that like, of course, some beasts are loose in the city, like from his suitcase or whatever.
He's a fuck up.
Yeah, and he's
incapable of
like
controlling his
super
own
awkward,
animals.
and like he does a weird ass accent or like a voice or something.
Yeah.
Like it's a weird movie. It's much more comedic than Harry Potter. It's like has like slapstick, like physical comedy in there. It's I don't know.
They try hard with the comedy.
They
and
try
they
pretty
fail
hard.
a lot more. Like the original Harry Potter movies kind of just like snuck in the comedy and it worked pretty well.
Because it was also from the book too,
Yeah.
mostly.
And then this movie had like full kind of scenes of like, okay, this is supposed to be comedic, but it's like it didn't land at all. So
Yeah.
it was weird. This movie was weird. The main character was weirdly acted by
Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne. He had a very weird accent. It was very hard. He was like, I'm trying to like
Don't
Please
do
do
it.
your best
I'm trying
impersonation.
to remember exactly how he did it.
I've recently. So he was like,
I really don't think. Okay, that sounds.
I just don't think about. But
Yeah, he sounds
he's like
kind of-
stammering and
Yeah,
like
he's stammering, but he also has a strong accent.
and his voice is like kind of deep, but he's talking like
Yeah,
softly
dude, it's
and
so
Is it like an English accent?
no, not really. It's just
He has you can tell that it's like not American, but
yeah, but it's
but
not
you're like,
super
is he
pronounced.
putting this on? Like,
Yeah,
100%.
he's an actor. You can tell that he's like acting the role in this movie.
yeah, it's super weird and like I don't know. There's a lot of special effects. There's a lot of creatures in there, but none of them are as good as like you would want them to be really
Yeah.
for a main part of the movie. There's a lot of house elves. There's a lot of goblins. There's a lot of
Dobbies.
like there's a lot of dobbies. One of them is
Bobby.
It's Bobby the house elf.
It's more grounded in reality.
No, like
He's
one of
American.
them. One of them is just Ron Perlman doing motion capture as a house as an elf.
It's just
And he's
Ron
like-
Perlman, like, full size as a house elf.
No, it's just his
Hellboy.
head.
Is
Like,
that Ron Perlman?
yeah, and like he is like. He's like the exact like mafia character that I always do when I'm like, hey kid, you and me's gonna go places. We got Moxie, kid. But it's just Ron Perlman as an elf. And like when we were watching the movie, I was like, wait, is that? I didn't know it was Ron Perlman, but I was like, that looks like a real face, like on an elf. Like that's really strange. Yeah,
That's
it's like that
weird.
looks like an actor, but like he has weird ass ears and his head is way bigger than his body. Like this isn't. There's something wrong here. So
That's weird.
I don't know. I would say I honestly probably would not recommend this movie.
Yeah.
And I hate
If
to
you're
say
really
that.
into Harry Potter, there's some lore stuff that's good.
Yeah.
But all the core stuff in this movie is not very good.
Like
I
as
will- Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say as a movie on its own, it's not good.
Yeah, I'll say that too.
Yeah.
I have to give a big shout out to the American male character. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name. But
Truly memorable. His
No, but the
performance.
actor is so good, and his performance was pretty good too. He played the main character in Balls of Fury, and he was in the movie Fanboys, which is like an indie film or whatever. But he's like a comedy actor, and his comedy was pretty good because he's
funny
well
man.
versed, and he's a funny man.
He was like the everyman. Like
Yeah.
you're kind of
He's the audience, sorry.
he's the audience. Yeah, essentially. Like you're seeing all this crazy stuff through him because he's a nomad, but he gets roped up into all this stuff and like
The whole
they're-
movie is him reacting like, what?
Yeah, and the whole movie is supposed to be like, of course, like as in Harry Potter, when Muggles or whatever see crazy stuff, they're supposed to use Obliviate on them, which is like a mind. It's like the little laser thing from Men in Black that like makes them go all doofusy or whatever. But like they don't do that on him, and he just goes on a wild ride with the main characters, and so he's the voice of reason for most of the movie, being like, guys, this is kind of crazy. Like, there's a dragon over here, like doing crazy shit, while everyone else is just like treating it like nothing because they're wizards.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
And consequently, they're behaving boringly. Or,
Yeah.
like, not excitingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's also just the best written character in the movie, probably, and just
It's like if the movie was just about him, I'd like it more.
yeah.
Cool.
So I don't know. I would say probably if you haven't seen it by now, if you're not a giant Harry Potter fan, probably not missing out on
Just
much.
don't watch it.
Sufficiently killed any interest I had in that movie.
I mean,
so-
I hate to say that, but like that's why I compared it to The Hobbit, because 5 of these, like, it's so
Dude,
unnecessary. Like
5
they're churning
movies.
them out. The other thing,
five
the
more?
other thing is that, huh?
Is that 5 more? Or
5 total.
including this. Okay.
Yeah. So originally they're gonna do 3, and then J.K. Rowling was like, I kind of like money.
Sounds similar to Peter Jackson.
Well, the
And
problem,
every other
the other
person
thing
on
of, in terms of this being similar is that the director of Fantastic Beasts was actually David Yates, who did the
yeah.
last 3 Harry Potter movies.
And it looks good. The movie looks
The movie is
fantastic.
fine, but it's another thing of like, oh, we have a director who has established that he like is competent and can make these movies, like has a good like vision or whatever.
His Harry Potter movies were really good.
They were
The
so
last,
good.
Like the last however many. Like
Oh, they're
4 or
amazing. I'm
something.
pretty sure he did like I want to say he did Order of the Phoenix through till the
Till
end.
the end, yeah.
So we had like 4 of them. So those are all super good. But like it's another one of those things similar to Peter Jackson where they just probably paid him a shit ton of money,
Yeah.
and they're like,
They're
we
like,
really
"You're
need to
gonna
make
need
these.
to make this."
We need to make these movies. Like this is kind of a thing
Yeah.
that we need to do because we really want money.
He just has no passion.
Yeah, and he's just like, I guess I'll churn this out.
Again, we know nothing. But
No, I know nothing, but that's just the
Pure
feeling I'm
speculation.
getting. Because it didn't have the same feel as his other... Again, it's different from Harry Potter, but he handled the direction of those last Harry Potter movies so well. Like, again, not a lot wrong with the direction, but anyway, it kind of bothers me.
Yeah.
But
All right.
Well,
regardless.
now let's move on to our wacky film of the week. We always watch a film on Wednesday that we pull out of a hat. Not even last week. It was actually 2 weeks ago because we watched Baby Driver last week. But we did pull 7, which we watched today.
Indeed.
Dane, had you seen this movie already?
I had.
Okay.
Once.
Okay. Colter, you hadn't seen it?
No, I have not. Had you seen it?
I have not seen. I have heard things about it, which is why I knew the "What's in the box."
What's in the
Yeah,
box?
that's literally. I just knew the line. I've seen like
Yeah.
one clip of Brad Pitt saying "What's
Yeah,
in the box?"
everyone knows that
Like,
scene.
everyone knows that scene.
that-
They probably haven't seen 7, but they know this. They know that line.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's a popular GIF.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of it?
I was a pretty big fan. This is the kind of movie that I like. Very clear, like plot points. We got some good versus evil going on. We got a little bit of mystery. There's not too much like art getting in the way of the story. It's more of like the story and the art kind of mixing together pretty well. There were some very like ham-fisted kind of like overtly like trying to be cool moments, but I don't know, that didn't mess up the movie, so I thought it was pretty good.
Before we go further, we should set up the movie a little bit, and also, have you guys seen any David Fincher movies before? Like Fight Club, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, Social Network, Gone Girl.
I've seen Fight Club and Social Network.
Okay.
I've seen Fight Club, Gone Girl, and I think 90% of the Social Network because my computer died, and then I just decided not to continue.
I mean, you know how it pans out. Facebook was created.
Facebook is here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically, I'll just sum up the movie really quick. Morgan Freeman is a like aging policeman, a little
detective.
He's a detective.
He's a little jaded, and Brad Pitt is like kind of like the spunky new kid on the block, and they get paired up to solve a string of murders. What they discover to be a string of murders surrounding around the 7 deadly sins.
Increasingly insane murders.
Yeah, increasingly grotesque and complicated and very involved murders. In an unnamed city that's just filthy and gross.
And wet.
And just always rainy.
Hey guys, it's Colter here. A little editor's note I wanted to insert here. We decide to spoil 100% of the movie 7 right here. We didn't hold back at all with spoilers. We spoil all the way up until the very end of the movie. So if you don't want to have any spoilers for this movie, you can look at the topics list in the description, and I should put a end spoiler timestamp. So if you go to that, you can skip the spoilers. Thank you.
Except for after Kevin Spacey turns himself in. Oh man,
I may bleep that.
Yeah,
I may not.
After John Doe turns himself in, it doesn't rain anymore.
Wow,
which is interesting.
So many spoilers.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I mean, it's been out since 95.
They've had 2 weeks to see it.
They've had 2 weeks to watch this, and also it's been out since 95.
Gave you guys 2 weeks.
Thank you. Yeah, and so basically to say any more than that would spoil it, even though I've spoiled everything else. But it's a good old-fashioned thriller / mystery. Very dark. It's a very dark movie. Jordan, what do you think?
I liked it. I was kind of a little uninterested at the beginning, but pretty much like there's a point that is like halfway through the movie where they're both the detectives find some way to kind of figure out who the killer might be, and so they end up going to what they think is a house for a suspect, and then
With the police?
Yeah, or they end up going to his apartment building, and it kind of just takes off from there, which was when I was like, oh, this is like, I was expecting to wait like another 45 minutes for a huge reveal, and it just kind of happened right there, which was pretty cool. So that was kind of when I got back into it. But yeah, I really liked it. It was really very dark. A lot of like cool, creepy shots in it of just like, especially like the killer's apartment is just like this like very messy but also like creepily organized place of just weird like religious like iconography and a bunch of weird stuff. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. The reason I ask if you have seen any other David Fincher movies is because he has a very particular style with like kind of everything. Really, like his music, he has the Trent Reznor, Mr. Reznor, in there, like some, and then the rest.
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, and the rest of the movie is just kind of classically scored stuff, but he has really meticulous and like precise editing and like really good. Like he's a perfectionist for sure. There's a scene in like I think it's Zodiac where, oh no, I see the moth.
Oh Jesus! It's Behemoth.
Behemoth is back.
Guys, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but that's it.
Shit.
It's literally fucking huge.
Should we keep going?
Just keep going. Just ignore it.
We're gonna keep going for now. If it gets anywhere near me, I'm stopping the podcast.
Just don't let it smell your fear.
So,
Stop
basically,
looking at it.
There's a scene in like Zodiac where he has like a notebook that he throws on like the seat of a car on a moth. But he throws on like the seat of a car, and David Fincher made him like redo the scene like 50 times to get the perfect shot. Like there's stuff like that where he's like super meticulous with like the direction of his movies.
Jesus. Sorry, that was you touched me. That was the moth.
So We're gonna be doing that for we're gonna be freaking out. We're on edge. Yeah, so I really like. He's one of my favorite directors because his movies are very tight. They're very.
I really enjoy movies where the villain is not like just a bumbling he's in this movie. John Doe is incredibly evil, but also he tries to like make points of why he's like doing justice, which is like interesting to see like them try to make a villain like someone who is obviously very like sadistic, but try to have that character explain themselves and justify themselves, and I think that it goes a long way into making you feel like those characters are way more believable. Because like the car ride at the end where John Doe and David Mills, Brad Pitt, are like talking to each other and having this back and forth conversation, that was probably like one of my favorite scenes in the movie, because they're just having this just battle back and forth just behind like bars, and it was very entertaining.
There's some great confrontational dialogue in there.
And you can tell, you can just know the point where John Doe just like has him. He's like, you're living like the life that I gave you now, and it's just like, oh, okay, you're right, you won.
Yeah, like there's a lot of the writing in this movie is very good.
It's very well done.
Honestly, probably that was the climax of the movie there.
Yeah.
Because I honestly kind of just could predict what happens at the end of the movie. It wasn't that crazy.
I mean, there's an end. Like, I wasn't 100% sure what Mills is going to do at the end. He has to make a decision.
I guess that's true. Yeah.
But
we won't spoil literally the final thing of the movie, but we'll spoil everything.
What's in the box?
I mean, we might as well just talk about it at this point.
Yeah, we've talked about literally everything.
If you don't want to know the end of,
insert a spoiler.
If you don't want to know the end of 7, don't listen, especially past this point. But do you guys think it was interesting that they became the final 2 sins?
I guess,
think
but
so.
I predicted
Envy
it.
and Wrath.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew there wasn't just going to be like 2 bodies somewhere, or I was pretty sure that it was going to be like, because the whole movie is setting up that Mills is like temperamental, and like that whole scene leading up to it, like the climax of the movie where they're
In the
confronting each other, talking to each other, like he's like just heightening how emotionally unstable he is. So it's like, all right, this guy's going to do something, like probably kill him, and then that's going to mess up their whole like operation or whatever, and that's going to be the climax of the movie. So I just like predicted it, but I'm really good at predicting stuff. I'm really smart.
Dude, that's awesome, dude. Quick side note, you noticed, or you mentioned how the rain was just overbearing and very loud throughout the entire movie. Do you think it's interesting that the rain stopped after he turned himself in?
I thought it was interesting that like the entire like movie doesn't have a sequence where it's not raining outside, and then when they're in the car driving, they just drive out into just like desert, and it's just it was like, oh, okay, this is a weird like metaphor for something that I haven't really like looked into much yet, but it was an interesting thing to see, just because if you're paying attention to the rain, you know it's like, oh, this is not like, even the area that they're in is nowhere like what like they were in for the rest of the movie. Like they were just in like this dirty, gritty city, and now they're just way out in like the boondocks.
Yeah, because there's a lot of things I've one of the things I picked up on when I first watched it on my own was that they never mention the name of the city. They never mention, like, they never show landmarks. They never show, like, they never overtly say or like legitimately say where they are. They always say like, oh, how long have you lived here? Or like they literally never mention any like sort of identifying anything about the place that they're in, which is kind of cool because it's just referred to as like the city or a city. And I think it's kind of a metaphor for how like this doesn't have to be New York or Chicago or like Gotham City or whatever it is. It's literally just like people can be really shitty like in general, but this could be any city. Like this kind of stuff could happen anywhere. And I think it's kind of weird that I don't know if it stopped raining in the city after he turned himself in, or just they left the city and it wasn't raining anymore. But them, and I don't know exactly what that represents, honestly, like the metaphor, but it's interesting that once they left the city, it was almost like hopeful in a way, like they were leaving and they thought they had won and he was captured and everything, and then even outside of the city, like he still succumbed to sin, and like I don't know, there's a lot of deeper stuff going on there, I think, but I do like how the city is just this like cesspit of just terrible people and like gross, like trash, and everything's wet and like grimy, and I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I thought it was interesting how you don't see any of the murders. Like, a different movie would show every single like crime as it happened. And a comment I made during the movie was that this movie is basically Saw without the torture scenes.
Yeah.
Because every single one was basically like, okay, the Jigsaw character, like, if this were Saw,
has set up this creepy murder
has set
trap.
up the situation where it's like, oh, like, either you can like kill yourself or you can like, you know, do this thing that's horribly torturous. Like,
Yeah.
So.
Because all the murders are just shown after the fact. Like you never see him killing like a person. They're just
after you meet John.
Yeah,
Joey,
like they're always just like you never see any like killing in that movie. Which is like, weird.
It's interesting because I think that's almost in this case you imagine him doing things that are probably worse than they probably would have even showed if they had shown it on camera, you know? So it almost is like more disturbing when you think about like, oh man, he was, especially that one guy who was like trapped in there for a year or whatever.
It's easy to let your mind wander when you don't actually have to see like...
Yeah.
Like, when they don't just say, oh, this is exactly how he did it. It's just like, well, here are kind of the things we know, and we actually don't know how this whole thing went out.
That almost like messes me up a little more than actually probably seeing stuff like that. Especially because there's so many murders in here that like that would get after the first or second one, you'd probably get a little desensitized.
If this movie was Saw, I would have instantly just been out on it because I don't need to like. There's no reason for me to see any of that stuff. Like, what they did here shows that you don't need to show a bunch of people just being killed in the most ridiculous fashion to prove a point.
Funny.
Like, just write about it. You can just have, like, let the audience, like, learn about it, and that's way more
let
effective
them use their
than,
head a little more.
like, having me watch someone gush, like, 8,000 gallons of fake blood, like, out their body. It's just like, well, yeah, that's cool, but, I mean...
Yeah, because Saw's kind of like, okay...
Like torture porn.
Yeah.
Yeah, all there is after you figure out what the trap is you watching someone suffer. And,
yeah, it's just like, well,
die.
I guess I'll just wait for this person to be cut in half, I guess, because that's the point of this movie, I guess.
I guess I'm supposed to be taking pleasure in them, like, having the worst moment of their life.
And listen, I'm not like saying, like, those movies, like, if you like those movies, fuck you or something. Like, you can like those movies however you want. I just, like, that... I just don't find enjoyment out of just watching just violence and like ridiculous violence just for the sake of it. Because if it doesn't serve torture. The purpose, I mean, why? It's just pointless to me. But yeah, overall, I'd probably give this movie 7 sins out of 9.
Yeah, you were sitting on that.
I was waiting for that one. I had it loaded up and ready to go.
Not bad.
1 binary scale. Watch it. It's very good.
I'm gonna give it 9 boxes out of 10.
Wow. What's in the box?
It's for you to
We've
find
already
out.
spoiled
Watch the
everything.
movie and find out. It's Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
We never know for sure what exactly is in the box.
That's true. This is one of my favorite movies of his.
This is for sure the best movie I've seen from him.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of any of the others that I saw.
I really do like Social Network. It's a much different movie than this.
Yeah.
Fight Club is another good one. Gone Girl, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is pretty good. Yeah, Zodiac is a really, really good one. Zodiac's more similar to this than any of his other ones because they're both about murder.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would see Zodiac.
Zodiac is quite good. That movie takes an interesting turn. I won't say anything about that movie, but it takes a very, very interesting turn.
Oh, you're going to hold back from us.
The last third of the movie is wildly unexpected.
Is Ted Cruz's biography.
It's just an interview with Ted Cruz.
It's
the last third is just a current day interview
it's
with
just
Ted
like
Cruz.
What's it called? Like a CNN.
Yeah, like
with,
a 60 Minutes.
Yeah, it's a 60-minute episode with just Ted Cruz.
Mr. Cruz, the Zodiac man.
I would definitely recommend you guys to watch Zodiac. Listeners, viewers, if you haven't watched Zodiac, it's actually really good.
I'll give it a watch.
It's underrated. Yeah, it's really good, actually.
All right. Do you guys have any other movies or anything that you've seen recently you want to talk about, or?
No.
No.
No?
We're going to go see... What?
Are you sure?
I don't think I have.
Okay.
Was there something that I watched that I don't remember?
You sounded hesitant. I just wanted to try to get it out of you.
No. What I was going to say was this weekend we'll be watching Spider-Man Homecoming, and we'll have our thoughts on that next episode.
Yeah.
So, if you're a Spidey fan, if you're a Spidey Man fan, if you want to see the movie and then hear our opinions,
come with us and watch it.
Make sure you come with us to the showing at this theater on a certain date at a time?
We're watching it in the city at 5 o'clock. Be there, be
city.
square.
Yep. And it's going to be raining.
All right.
Also, at the end of this podcast, we're going to pull the film that we're going to watch next week.
Yeah, we're going to have a
So you
double
better
header.
stick around. And also, don't just skip to the end because there's surprises throughout the entire podcast.
We have a way to know if you skip to the end and you're not going to be able to understand what we're talking about, so don't do it. Anyways, now we're moving on to our final, last but not least segment of video games.
Video games.
We've been have we been playing them? Have you guys been playing any?
Yes.
Okay, Colter.
Sure.
Okay, what have you been playing, Dane?
The usual answer: PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. The other night we had a wild. Well, there was 2 separate nights. One of them we won.
The one that we won is good, and that was fun. But I think the one that we played, was it yesterday or the night before? It might have been the night before.
No, it was last
yesterday,
night, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was a fantastic experience.
That was a wild ride.
I don't think I was recording it. I don't know if you were, but
I wasn't.
I heard you guys' like freakouts, and I was like, "Are you guys recording?" And then you're like, "Nope."
See, it's because
We
I had to
should have
restart my
been.
computer in like the prior match, so I didn't start streaming again. But man, it was
By the way, we should have a PlayerUnknown's Battleground Stories like theme song that we play every time because
We
it's
really
a
should.
daily thing.
It is.
It happens.
But the thing is,
all the
that
time.
game is so reactive that like
Yeah.
we could talk about it forever.
Like,
Maybe.
every time I play that game, it comes up with something crazy.
Something crazy happens. Basically, I mean, maybe I'm forgetting other stuff that happened, but at the end of the match, it ended, like 20 people? Like, no, less than that. Like,
Yeah.
15 people left. It was like you, me, like one of our friends was alive, I think. And we were on the side of a cliff.
A large cliff overlooking water.
A very large cliff on the edge of one of the islands. With our backs to the water, be like, oh, this is a perfectly safe spot.
Yeah.
Like, look at this. You will go over to the edge. You're like, look at this spot. This like, no one's gonna find us here. Like, this is the best spot we could possibly
Immediately
be in. And then
start getting shot.
and then you just get sniped, and then we're like, oh shit. And so then we're trapped on that side of the island, and people are coming up the beach from one side.
They're
like,
closing
people
in
are
on us.
already on the top of the hill from another angle, like behind us. There's people coming up the hill from the other way. So, and then we're just literally like us against the world, like 3 groups coming towards us.
We're just like crouched down like in between rocks, so you can't actually probably see us, but like they were circling in on us, and we don't have anywhere to go because it's either you run forward to the enemies or there's a cliff behind us with water. And
Yeah, so I'm sniping people like with a longer range weapon that are coming up from the west or whatever, like the right side. And then I'm like, oh, these people are getting pretty close, and I down one guy, and then all of a sudden one of our other friends gets shot like super close to where we were. And he's like, oh no, they're right here. Like, the team is right here on the side of the cliff.
there's like 4 people there. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, no.
and so we're like, well, shit, like, there's nowhere to go from here. And so I'm like, Jordan, we have to go. And you're like, there's nowhere to go. I'm like, no, we have to jump. And so then we just sprint and jump off the side of the cliff. Like, a solid drop.
It
Like, the
was
biggest drop I've seen in
awesome.
that game. Into the ocean. And then we get into the water, and we're swimming for our lives, like, onto this little beach. And we end up in a cove.
we just like hid in like a crevasse for like the remainder of the round, like
Yeah.
trying to shoot people like up above us.
And
It
then
was
I'm like,
awesome.
all right, I'm going up. So I, like, mountain climb my way up the side, like,
Like a billy goat.
yeah, like jumping up like Skyrim in my way, as I say, up the mountain to the top, and I'm like picking people off, and like it was wild.
It was like the most beautiful action movie moment of all time, where we're just like, we
gotta-
have to jump.
We gotta jump.
And we just turn around, just woo,
Yeah, just
fly off the
fly
cliff.
like a huge drop
It was
into the
awesome.
water. That's one of my most memorable moments.
Yeah, that's
in
one of
that
my
game.
favorite moments in that game, because just
Yeah.
like also you can't because the game is like still really janky, so I wasn't 100% certain that we weren't just gonna like hit the water and then hit the ground like right beneath it and die. I was just like, well, there's only one way to find out.
Like,
we just
we
gotta
don't
jump.
have where they're gonna die
jump.
by this team, like this full squadron
Yeah.
that's rolling up on us, or
Or
we
we
jump off.
we go out our own
Yeah,
way.
and so we're like, all right, we're dying on our terms this time, boys.
That was awesome. Sadly, that round ended with me against 2 people. And thanks to the game being like incredibly like janky at the end, they both like I was hiding in like a little cove beneath them, like at the bottom of the cliff, and they jumped off the cliff as well, directly in front of me, and they were underwater. I was like, okay, well they're just like fish in a barrel here. The bullets just didn't hit them underwater, and then they just like got up.
And you were definitely shooting right
Yeah.
at them.
I was
so
like-
that's just a limitation of the
I was
game.
just like, how am I not hitting these people? And then they got out of the water and killed me, and it was disappointing. And then they trash talked me afterwards, which was
Yeah, they're like, you fucking bitch, like hide in your cove, you bitch.
Yeah,
and we're like, what?
like, just keep
Why are you
hiding
so
here. I was
angry?
just
And then you're like, it's a
yo.
game, you're angry.
Like, I was very nice. I was like, hey, it's a video game, you won, congratulations. And then I exited gracefully with my head held high.
Well done.
The other night before that, we had a match where I think you got like 8 kills. I had 6. And then we had some.
We wrecked some people in that one.
That was the most aggressive match we've ever had because we would see a car like going through a field. We're like, no, we have to kill them,
shoot,
and
take
like
them
we would
down.
just all shoot like repeatedly at these people and take them down. And then it ended with us in a field, like just with no cover, just taking people on from all sides. We just swept up, took the chicken
That was
dinner.
a good one.
Well done.
Anyway.
And now I have a computer.
That's
All
true.
I have
Yes.
to do is install Windows.
Yeah, so fortunately, the computer that we talked about last week that I've
Thrown in the trash.
that I was going to throw away because it's a piece of garbage. I was like, I'll just hand it to Colter. Is
For
working
money.
perfectly fine. It booted up, so that's always the scariest part when you're like putting together the computers when you're done and you have to press the power button and you never know.
And it did not boot up.
It didn't because I had not plugged in
Yeah.
one of the cables. I was like, oh, this is weird.
And I definitely would not have known what was the problem.
Yeah.
So
But
thank you for helping me out.
and no problem. It's not my job, but it's one of my
It's not
hobbies.
my
I'll say.
job. And I
like
will be
tinkering
joining
with
y'all
them.
for some Pubg pretty
Can't wait.
soon.
You been playing anything else, Dane?
I've been playing Tales of Berseria.
Okay.
Berseria.
I got my crazy demon arm
Nice.
and am escaping the prison island.
Right.
So still pretty early on. It's like an hour and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
Cool game. It's
I
a little
enjoy
stiff.
those
Some of the
games.
animations are a little stiff, but like, you know, the characters so far are endearing, and the story is pretty interesting. I like the combat.
The combat in this one is especially good because it feels way more like a straight up action game than
Yeah.
some of the other ones, which I enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is like, it's not a technical masterpiece.
No.
But, it runs fine. You should download. There's a mod you can download that helps the game run a little bit better and cleaner.
Really?
It's
It runs at
super
60
easy.
frames for me.
It does, but
4K.
The other one, the mod helps it.
Really?
A little bit smoother.
Can I get it
helps
from
audio
Steam?
Issues. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like that game. Like, it's not a technical marvel, but the game is like sharp, like looking, especially because
Oh,
you can
yeah.
run at 4K like easy. It
looks good.
It gets rid of every like jagged like line. It looks super crisp. It's super colorful too. Like a lot of like nice saturated looking colors and stuff, which is nice. And also those games are like super well written. Like the main story dialogue isn't like the greatest, and the plots are always kind of like hit or miss sometimes. But like they always have the Tales series has like these skits that play out whenever you see like a weird like item, or if you go to a certain place, you like press a button and see a bunch of people talk, and like the localization in those games is like really really funny. So props to whoever did that.
Yeah, it's cool so far. I play Tekken almost every day. If I play video games on a certain day, it'll probably start or end with me playing Tekken for at least like a couple matches.
How's your ladder climb going on there?
I've actually had trouble finding ranked matches recently. So I play a few of those, and I admittedly one day I played and I got absolutely trash, and it was a little demoralizing. So I went to quick match, and I've been trying out I've been practicing like counters and different not crazy combos or anything, but just different ways to mix things up. And I do feel like I'm improving, and it's very fun.
It's good.
And it's also a really easy game to pick up and play like a round or two in.
Yeah.
Because you can get a lot done in that game in like half an hour. Or
The
like
matches are
45
super
minutes.
fast. Like they can't last longer than like 60 seconds. So
Yeah.
well, each round at least, but they don't ever last that long anyways.
And it's like that game doesn't waste any time. Like getting in and out of matches, like finishing a round, it starts the next round immediately. Like it feels.
Hey, Colter again. One last little editor's note at this point in the podcast. Dane's mic just stops recording. No idea why that happened. You can still hear Dane in our mics. It's just not as loud. Unfortunately, this does continue for the duration of the podcast, which is about 20 minutes. So really sorry about that. No clue why that happened. It shouldn't be a problem in the future unless it just randomly does it again. But yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Good to just play rapid fire matches in there.
Definitely seen the same thing of like not finding matches as fast as I would like, ranked or otherwise. I'm not sure if that's just the servers or if like the player base on the PC is not like what it like start out, because the first day I played, like I was able to get matches like real like super fast, but now sometimes it just doesn't find them, but eventually it does if I like back out and try it again. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's the player base, because I feel like that game was pretty high up on Steam for a while. It still is, despite the Steam sales. So I think it's popular. I mean, it got reviewed.
I'm a little sad that they came out and just straight up said that they wouldn't allow crossplay between any like platform, which is disappointing, because that
it's not the same thing as like a shooter where mouse and keyboard would.
Yeah, no, everyone is playing with their own preferred like sticks or like pads or whatever, you know. Like there's no one is at a disadvantage because they're playing on a certain platform. And
yeah.
I feel like at least PC should be able to play with PS4 or Xbox or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But sadly, that's not going to be the case.
But that's a lot of work, though.
It is, but it's sad that they segregate like the communities like that, because like even like Rocket League, like if everyone was able to just all play together at once, you know, like that, it makes it way easier to find matches.
You can do crossplay with Xbox One and PC and PS4 and PC
now.
Yeah, but you can't do PS4, Xbox.
Yeah, which is kind of dumb.
Which
Microsoft, I'm calling you out, because PS4 said that they would do it.
No, it was the other way around.
It's 100% the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Xbox said they would do it.
Well,
yeah.
Xbox said,
but also like
they would do it. They recently said they would do it in that Giant Bomb interview.
Yeah,
with
but also
Spencer.
it's really easy to say like when you're second place, it's really easy to be like, yeah, of course I'd love to do everything like this, and I'd love to work with these guys and do this, but they're not going to let us do it. It's like
that's true.
There business deals at work there that prevent that, but
yeah,
I will confirm that later. I don't necessarily trust you guys. I'm
100% positive that it was.
I'm fairly confident.
110% positive.
Your guys' strongness is making me scared, but
I'm very confident that's what it was. Thank you. Anyway.
Anything else?
No, I mean, I downloaded a few games. Dragon's Dogma on Steam. I've been playing that a little bit. I had played it before on 360, but
it's a good one.
Very fun. I bought a few other like indie games here and there that I haven't tried yet, so I'll report back.
All right.
But the Steam sale was not amazing this year, probably because I owned a lot of games on sale. But
Colter, what have you been up to?
So the competitive season of Rocket League just ended today at 3:00 on Wednesday. So I had been trying to kind of just see if I could get like higher up, but I definitely just stayed at the same spot. My highest level was Gold 2. Just killing it.
And so,
no, just kidding.
So you got third place with me at a regional tournament.
That's correct. We got third place at a regional tournament.
Was it a regional tournament?
We won't go through this again. So yeah, I've been getting into Rocket League. We talked about that. And I had been getting really mad also recently.
Yeah, that happens.
I'll say that. Because I got through my placement matches for singles, and I got put into Gold 2, which is the highest rank I've ever gotten, and then I immediately fell. So I guess it placed me a little bit incorrectly, but also I was kind of fucking up. But I feel like, I'm getting better over time, whatever.
Yeah.
But you're not angry as long as if you say something really angrily and you're like raising your voice, as long as you say dead.
Did, yeah.
And you're just like, no, I can't believe that did.
Sometimes it does still sound real, so.
Yeah, sometimes
that doesn't help all the time.
Yeah, we've come up with that, though. If it's too mean, just say dude at the end of it, and then it'll seem nice.
Dissipate the anger.
Yeah. But I did go back to Last Guardian. I'm going to try and finish that pretty soon, because it's just sitting, like... Honestly, because it's a digital download, and because I don't have to put in a disc, I honestly do feel more inclined to play it.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, no, I do feel more inclined to play it, because it's like...
Hey, it's easy.
Yeah, so I started up again. I didn't restart the game, but I just started from where I was at, and I played like probably about as much as I had played up until that, which is like probably like maybe 3 hours or so.
So you've made it fair?
Yeah, I have no idea how close I am to the end, but it's good in that all the puzzles, like, it doesn't tell you a single thing how to like do them, and the whole game is just puzzles, and like music is all right. There's honestly not that much music, and it's not that overt, but it's good when it's there. It's like, it goes along with the aesthetic pretty well, and the look of the game is really good, other than the frame rate, which is terrible on the regular PS4. And that is, At first, I was like, oh, it's not really that bad, but it gets pretty bad at some parts, like the frame rate. It does take an unacceptable dip, especially since they haven't patched it at all.
That seems unacceptable to me. That the game hasn't received any sort of like optimization. Like
Nintendo patched Breath of the Wild like the week it came out.
Yeah.
Nintendo never does that.
Anyways, yeah, it's annoying, but I'm getting fairly far. I will say that the fact that there's like the game is just puzzles and like there's no like real plot, honestly, for the most part. In most games like that, you get like little pieces of plot, like Portal or something like that. But this game is basically just you're like running around with your dog trying to get puzzles.
You're building a
finished.
relationship with him, Colter.
To be fair, that is somewhat similar to Ueda's other games, Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. But still, even those games still do have a premise that you do get kind of bits throughout it. Not a whole lot, but it's there.
In Shadow of the Colossus, it's like, okay, you need to defeat all these Colossus in order to revive your female
and also,
friend.
like, each time you kill one, you also do get a bit of narration from something.
Yeah.
But
this game, I feel like it's just like nothing. It's just like, okay, you're here. There's this creature. Go.
Yeah,
And,
I feel like he's also really big on, from what I've seen, on like letting you as the player come up with like not necessarily your story, but like your like connection to whatever is happening or whatever you're doing. Especially with that game, because everyone who has played it is like, oh, if you have a pet, you'll understand. Like
it's
how you
so
feel
realistic,
for,
honestly, with like the doggy.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff is cool, and I feel like I think a lot of that is he's banking on you like feeling.
Honestly,
you need to stop calling it a dog because you're giving people the wrong impression. It's not even close to being a dog.
It's a dog like mixed with a bird.
A bird and a cat and weird other things. It's
it's
monster.
Enormous.
It's a monster.
It's Clifford the Big Red Dog, except it's Clifford the Big Red Dog Bird like creature monster atrocity
on the boy
abomination.
And the dog.
What did you say? The animation? It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of things I've seen in that game, like you see that thing moving and you're like, I mean, if that was real, that's probably how it would move. Like that.
It's honestly like kind of scary
it's
sometimes.
Hair like
it,
rustling
comes up,
and stuff, and like looks really good.
Yeah, its hair rustles and it like runs up on you, and you're like, oh my god! It's like it's a big monster
it's gonna
every
kill me,
time.
But it's my friend.
Yeah, it's weird the dynamic that it has.
Interesting.
And there have been one or two times where I've had to look up the answer to a puzzle because it's
Colter.
But there was like one where there was literally no way that I could have known. It was a button press that wasn't like indicated, and I didn't even know was like a thing. It's possible that like it was in the previous playthrough that they like told me at one time, but there's a specific button press that I had to do that I didn't even know was a thing.
I've definitely heard like similar stories of people being like, yeah, like a lot of the answers to the puzzles are dependent on you like standing in a spot and just calling Trico, whatever the bird dog cat's name thing is, and having it just do a thing.
Clifford.
Whether it's going to do that or not is up to it.
Yeah.
Which is either part of the game or is a bug. I don't know.
It's fairly responsive to your stuff, but you have to press the correct buttons in order for it to actually do it. So.
And it's also realistic that the giant bird, cat, dog thing / Clifford wouldn't always listen to what you're telling them to do, because it's an animal and it's not your slave or servant, which is interesting. It makes for a weird game.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like there's a balance there of gameplay versus like realism that you're trying to.
This
invoke.
sounds like a very Molyneux game.
Yeah, not quite as fantastical.
No, but in the sense of like lofty ideas.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna be able to plant a tree and you'll see the tree grow and you can water it and it'll like be your brother and
Fable and the creator of Fable have had some.
It's so wild.
Ridiculous statements.
It's like you'll be able to hold hands with people and make connections and like feel emotions in the real life.
And then you did, and it was just like a straight up just the most obvious gameplay mechanic of like you hold the hand and then like a circle appears. It's like, do you want to like fart in this person's face? Do you want to kiss this person? It's just like,
like what kind of emotion do you want to convey to this person? Yeah. Super dumb. Do you want to fart in this person's face?
That's literally a staple of Fable's like emotive responses.
Fart?
It's like just
fart
and like really weird emotes. Like
it's very British
slap
humor.
them in the head.
It's British
or,
humor.
Throw a like crumpet at them.
Yeah, the Brits love farts.
Throw a crumpet.
Anything
Pour
else?
scalding tea onto their face.
Yeah. Tread on them.
No, that was all the games I've been up to this week. What about you?
So I also.
What about you?
did some damage during the Steam sale. I bought a few smaller kind of indie games that I wanted to check out, but I didn't, which are Salt and Sanctuary, which is kind of to be very reductive, 2D Dark Souls, because it basically is just that. And Hollow Knight, which is Metroidvania, Castlevania-esque game, which is actually very good. That's
Is that not Shovel Knight?
No, that's a different game.
Okay.
Although I probably should play
Or
Shovel
I thought
Knight.
maybe it was like an expansion.
No. But Hollow Knight is pretty cool. It has it's like a really like cool looking hand drawn art style. Has a lot of great music. It's pretty fun. I've only played a couple hours of it. Salt and Sanctuary, I was like 2D Dark Souls. I was like, okay, that's kind of sounds like my thing. I love Dark Souls. I played that game for 45 minutes and I'm probably not going to go back to it, strictly because I hate the art style in that game. It looks absolutely hideous to me, and
Really?
I can't stand it. It looks like a crappy Flash game to me.
Really?
Yeah, it looks. I
So it looks like new Dragon Ball Z.
no. New Dragon Ball Z looks better, but also it's Dragon Ball Z, so I mean whatever. But it looks bad to me at least.
Interesting. Yeah, a bad aesthetic can ruin a game in some, especially indie
Yeah,
games.
it has just like this just grimy, like gritty, just look on it the entire time. I don't know.
Because
you'd have
as
to
we
see
know,
it.
the only two rules are: does it look good, and can you play forever?
You cannot play. Well, I don't know if you can play it forever, but it doesn't look good. So I mean,
So
50%
test failed.
already.
Yeah.
But what I have been mostly playing is Tekken here and there, Tales of Berseria, and Final Fantasy XIV, which is an MMO.
More of that.
It's a fantastic MMO because it just came out with an expansion like a couple months ago, maybe, or a month ago. It's very recent, the
It's been
expansion.
like 2 weeks. 2 or 3
Yeah,
weeks.
but the thing is, to get to that expansion and the other expansions, you have to go through like basically every time they've added a patch to the game. So like that game actually has a really interesting story in which when it first came out like a few years ago, it was crap and everyone panned. It was like critically panned and no one really liked it. And then they went back and redid basically the entire game and came out with like their 2.0 launch, and it was basically like a brand new game and everyone actually really enjoyed it. And so like every patch after that, like 2.1, 2.2, whatever, up to like 2.5 is like the main game. You have to complete pretty much everything in there to get to the expansions, which is a bit time consuming.
We've
because
already done a lot of that, though.
we have. I mean, we made it to basically the end, but there's still a ton of just like, and a lot of the quests are kind of annoying. They're like, oh, talk to this person, and then go talk to this person, and then teleport back to that person, which just is annoying, but
Especially when all you want
it's
to do
easy.
is get to the new content.
Yeah,
which
it's
is
easy.
Good.
But there are a lot of cool things in there. Like a lot of those quests end up with you fighting like giant monsters. One of the cool things about that game is kind of like unlike World of Warcraft, in which all the like giant like end game stuff is like just relegated to the end of the game, and you have to play with like 40 people to do it. These ones are like way smaller in scale, like 8 people. But a lot of the mechanics are like super complex and fun to play. So that's taken up most of my free time. I've enjoyed it.
Anything else?
I did buy Soma, which is kind of a horror game.
I've been considering buying that for a long time.
Yeah, I always like kind of want to pull the trigger, and then finally the Steam sale was like, it's like $15 or something. I was like, I might as well just buy it. I haven't played it yet, but it's on my list. I don't think I've played too much else besides and
you
obviously
didn't play it yet.
PlayerUnknown's.
Sorry.
I haven't played Soma yet. No.
Okay.
It's on the list. But yeah, other than that, not too much. Yeah, honestly, most of the time was Final Fantasy XIV. Like I have been playing that nonstop for most of my free time.
Okay.
But yeah,
I need to catch up so we can go play Heavensward.
you do. And I'll be honest, got a lot of catching up to do.
How much did you play?
I would probably say it took me. It's honestly not that much. It was like total from where we were to get to the newest, not the newest, but the other expansion, Heavensward, maybe like 8 to 10 hours of.
I'm never gonna catch up. So.
What?
Well, no, I'm just
That's
kidding.
you could bust out in one day,
I'm just
but yeah, I don't know. And everyone in that game is super helpful. Like if you get stuck on something, like the community in that game is really great too. So one of the reasons I enjoyed it. Like
Can't say the same for a lot of games.
no, like even like going from Black Desert Online, which the community in that game is fucking trash. There are a bunch of awful people in
They're
there.
just trolls, dude.
They're all trolls
They don't
and
talk about Alienware.
Alienware, and also like they're very fixated on transgender anime people. I don't know why.
It's a weird.
Kind of like Overwatch.
Yeah, but like no,
But
not
to
but
an
not quite.
Insane degree.
Yeah, like
But that's like out of like it's more lighthearted.
Like, I logged in one day and they're like, oh, like, Alienware is, like, the best brand ever, and, like, obviously being trolls and stuff and talking about, like anime traps. I was like, oh, this is, like, a weird conversation. Yeah, and then I was like, this is just, like, a one-off conversation. Every day that I logged on and, like, was in there, they were talking about the same thing. I was like, why? Who's contributing to this conversation to keep this going the entire time? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And then,
That's weird.
And then, like, in Final Fantasy 14 the other day, I was like, I finished a quest. I was like, does anyone know, like, how much longer I have until I get to, like, this next expansion? This person's like, oh, you're not that far. Another person's just like, hey, you're really close. Nice job. Keep it up. I was like, wow, you people are, like, way too nice to, like, be on the internet.
Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. Like,
it was very nice, actually.
You guys realize that you're under the guy's
Yeah.
anonymity and just trash someone
like,
and destroy their life.
You're close.
You guys don't want to tell me to kill myself.
That actually reminds me of
okay.
a story of when Dane and I were playing Final Fantasy 14 one time, and
Oh my
after
God,
we were in the
yes.
middle of a trial, which is like just these giant boss fights, and I don't know if we like died at one point or what happened, but I like was jokingly to Dane, I was like, wow, you're shit or something, and then every other person in the group like ganged up on me and was like, wow, why would you say that to this guy? Like, how dare you say this to this person? I was like, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna turn into the heel. I'll become the troll here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I just took it and just went with it, and it was a fantastic. I think I have it saved on PS4
I
actually.
have,
Like, the
those, I
conversation.
have the chat
Amazing.
log saved.
It's fantastic.
I can show it to you, Colter, but basically, like...
Wait, is this not voice chat?
No, it was
No,
text.
it was
shit.
like we were typing.
I was just imagining voice the whole time.
I wish.
You might be able to hear my voice talking, like because I have a recorder on mine. But
Yeah, and
we'll
I
see.
took screenshots of the chat log. I scrolled through the chat log
Yeah.
and like screen capped it, but like some of them were great because it was like you're like, wow, do you even like? Because one of the things it like revolved around doing a certain number of damage or something. To,
Yeah.
like, a piece of the boss or like an enemy or something. And then you're like, dude, do you even know what the fuck you're doing? like you're supposed to hit the core or whatever, and then someone else was like, yeah, your DPS wasn't so hot either. Like, what are you talking about? And they were just like trashing you.
Yeah,
and you're
it
like,
was-
what the fuck did you say to me?
I played the troll very well in that part. I felt like
Yeah.
It
and
was great.
I was able to turn an entire group of people against me in a matter of moments, and,
And
it
then
was
they
a
all
fascinating
they all
social
gave me
experience.
commendations. At
That's
the end.
true.
You can give someone an award for like their performance, and so like usually they give it to the tank because what Jordan was playing because the tank is like the most critical role or the healer. But then everyone gave me commendations, and they're like, "Yeah, don't listen to Jarek, like your name or whatever."
My character's name.
Yeah, I was like, don't listen to Jarek. Like, you're doing a great job. Like, we all start somewhere, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, being, like, so nice, like, super nice. And they
funny.
were all trashing on you because, like, defending me.
It was a fun little
Some guy
moment.
said he knew, like, karate or something, and that if you wanted to...
Yeah, I
fight
told some
real
guy to
life,
come
like-
fight me, and he was like,
Yeah, like,
"Oh,
come-
I've been training like in martial arts for like 15 years or something." I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay."
All right,
It
we're
was
actually
pretty-
gonna fight.
It was
Like, we're-
pretty wild.
I was just like, "I don't know. Well, you're not gonna fight me, but
Yeah.
sure."
Yeah.
It's fun nonetheless.
That's great.
It was hilarious.
Funny stuff.
Good times. That's why I honestly love MMOs. It's just the social interactions in those games are always just ridiculous.
It's true.
Guys, is it that time to pick a wacky film?
We started-
You need to actually.
We started too early.
Did we?
The bags are by you.
Whose turn
The
is it?
wacky film list.
It's not mine.
Are you sure? Did I draw 7?
I
Thought I
picked
drawn seven.
hot. This is the classic segment of the
Fuck.
podcast, dude.
No, this is what I suggested.
You drew 7, didn't you?
Yeah,
I swear
what
I drew
suggested
7.
Was,
And then I did Hot Fuzz, and you did Spirited Away, right, Dane?
Maybe I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Then whose turn is it?
Okay, Colter got Hot Fuzz. You drew Spirited Away. I drew 7. It's Colter's turn.
I feel like that's wrong.
What?
Because I don't
How
know
could that
Colter-
possibly be wrong?
I don't remember what I don't
And
know.
you did. Fuck.
I think what we should
I
do,
also got Scanners. So
I think-
after me,
Yeah,
it's
you
Colter.
did Scanners, right?
Yeah, after me, it's
And
Colter.
And then Dane.
we should have written our initial on each one that we pulled.
Yeah,
It's too late
Oh,
for
that would
now.
actually be.
it's too late now.
Okay, the wacky film list is a list of 50 films that we wanted to watch. We wrote them all on a piece of paper, and we randomly pull one out every week that will be watched by next week. If you guys want to participate, you can watch this film. And we're going to review what I'm about to pick out on next week's
I
podcast.
hope it's a good one.
I'm kind of mixing them up here. Keep in mind, guys, that we have Disney Channel original films on this list.
And 2 wild cards.
We have 2 wild cards still left.
remaining.
Neither one
We
is
have-
Dane's.
We have a Serbian film.
So that
It's
means
okay.
we're-
All the rest of the movies are Dane's, so
it's basically all Dane wild cards for the most part. Another roast.
the roast is unending for Dane.
We also have a movie called A Serbian Film, which is one of the most graphic films of all time, a shock film. All right.
I'm not excited to watch that.
But aren't you kind of a little excited?
It's more like I'm kind of frightened.
I want to get an action movie. I want to see Face Off or The Raid.
I want to see a good movie. All right.
I think my thing stopped.
Donnie Darko?
Donnie
I don't think I'm
Darko.
recording anymore.
All right. What?
It isn't moving.
All right, we'll just start recording right now, if you can. All right. Wait, now it's playing too. You don't want to do that.
Oh no.
All right, we'll deal with it.
Wait, what?
I mean, we're still recording. Should we just finish?
Yeah. I don't know what to do though.
I mean, there's not much.
We'll just talk very loudly.
Yeah.
And I'll
I
pick
mean,
it
it's
up
near
on
the
my
end,
mic.
so whatever. All right.
Technical difficulties, but
That's really weird. Okay.
Anywho.
Yeah, so we're watching Donnie Darko.
Nice.
All right, guys.
What? I'm so confused.
Jordan, you want to throw it to plugs?
Yeah, let's get out of here. So you can find us, Not So Subtle. If you want to send us comments, critiques, questions, just a good old hello, send it to our Gmail account at it's not so subtle at gmail.com. That It's Not So Subtle is our Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. You can find... Yes, Twitch is the correct term. You can find us, Dane or I, and possibly Colter soon, streaming on there, being hosted. You can find me, Jordan Miller, on Twitter at TheKillamilla. You can also find me on other various video game platforms, Steam, PSN, Xbox, you name it, under the same moniker, Instagram, and other websites as well. Colter, and my Tumblr is Tenzo-Taicho if you want to see anime or mobile suits. A lot of mobile suits. Colter, where can people find you?
They can find me at Colter Potter. Just my name.
All right.
Colter Potter on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah.
And don't forget our Facebook, Not So Subtle, our YouTube, Not So Subtle.
Our Facebook is It's Not So Subtle, but you can just look up Not So Subtle.
And of course, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please rate and review it.
Please.
You can find us on iTunes under Not So Subtle as
Guys,
well.
go ahead and leave a like and a comment. If you're watching on YouTube right now, please.
Please, we'll respond to any comments regardless of what
subscribe.
they are. Dane, where can people find you?
You can find me at Lane DePoint on Twitter and Instagram, and on Twitch, and other stuff too. You can also find me in the Twilight Zone, where I'm currently residing because my mic fucked up.
All right.
And that's all I got.
Sick. I think that's
I
gonna.
feel at a disadvantage.
That's all right. You stayed strong with us most of the way, and that's all we can really ask for.
I'm at a disadvantage.
Now we can just talk behind Dane's back.
You can just
Good, alright,
I
so-
can hear you.
All right. So
Where's
is next
this
week the
fuck
week
up
we're
there?
gonna drop him, or?
Yeah, I was actually. Do you have the new member lined up?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I think we're actually gonna get
shit.
Kermit on mic next week.
I think you can hear us. We gotta go. We gotta go.
We gotta go, guys.
We gotta go.
All right. Thank you for watching.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
What's
in the box?
It's in the box.